Welcome in the latest episode of That SEC Podcast, brought to you by Twisted Tea and My Bookie. I'm your host, Michael Bratton. I go by SEC Mike on Twitter, and I'm joined as always by my cousin Shane, who goes by Big Orange Balls on Twitter. What's up, you old beer-holding Tennessee homer?
Hey, buddy, what's going on? Our intros are getting so long, I don't know when to... I'm like, I'm not going to get to pour this beer anytime soon, am I?
Yet it didn't help. It took me about 3 times to knock that one out, Shane, but I can see you holding that beer
Yes,
so
sir.
patiently. So I do appreciate it. But, hey, let's talk about My Bookie, Shane. They're going to be a sponsor. They're back with the podcast. They've been with us before. They've updated their sports book, Shane. They've made it convenient for all the listeners out there. Can get immediate payouts. This is illegal now across the country, so you really want to help the podcast out. Well, you know how we love drinking. Thank you, Twisted Tea. You know how we love gambling. Thank you, MyBookie. Come join us over at mybookie.ag. And right now, Shane, for all listeners of the show, new users over at MyBookie, Shane, they will give you a bonus deposit match of up to 50%, all the way up to $1,000 if you want to start up a new account, and as little as $45, they will match 50% of your initial deposit over at MyBookie. And I'm ready to gamble this season, make these people some money. How about it, Shane?
Absolutely. People have been waiting for this moment because they are going to be fading me all year long, and I'm going to make some folks rich because of it. So be sure to get on there. What's that the promo code again?
The promo code, Shane, over at MyBookie is that SEC, THATSEC, over at MyBookie. Come hang out with us and, share your bets with us. I mean, people know how we love to gamble on these games, Shane, and we can't pick a winner to save our lives, but all you got to do is fade us, and you're a guaranteed millionaire by the end of the year over at MyBookie. You know what?
Absolutely, man. I'm looking for some help, man. You know what I'm saying? If you got some parlay options out there, if I see yours is hitting and stuff, I'm going to start copying yours. So, hey, I think at some point we're going to have a little segment on show where we can highlight some of our best gamblers out there. So, hey, it's fun that if you put a little money on it, you like this. I'll say this, for instance, Mike, Vanderbilt and Hawaii. There's a lot of people that don't care. There's a lot of people that didn't plan on watching it, but you put a little money on it. I'm telling you what, it becomes an intriguing game all of a sudden. So be sure to jump on MyBookie. Help us out there. Promo code THATSEC, and they will give you 50% off. I mean, what other place you go get 50% of your money back putting it in? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely, Shane. So there is a link to that in the show notes, and that'll be there for the rest of the season. But hey, just staying on that theme, Shane, and I'm glad you went right to Hawaii Vanderbilt. We're going to spend a lot of time here talking gambling, Shane, and week 1 lines, courtesy of MyBookie, SEC championship odds, as well as national championship odds, Shane, to break down courtesy of MyBookie. So let's start with Hawaii at Vanderbilt. Of course, that'll be this Saturday, Shane. The Commodores favored by 17.5 points. Beat them by like 60 last year. 17.5 feels like a gimme. Over under 55.5 points. And not to spoil the pick show coming up here, Shane, but come on. We ain't picking Hawaii on this damn show, are we?
No, not even close, Mike. This is going to be a fun game, and it's a different game. If Vanderbilt Hawaii last year was the only Vanderbilt game you watched, it is not going to be the same football team taking the field. This is going to be a high-flying attack, brother. Again, Coach Lee's going to mix in that run and everything, but they've got a quarterback and wide receiver core that can match a lot of these teams in the SEC, and they are going to destroy Hawaii. So, yes, I'm not trying not to give away my picks on Wednesday, but I'm just saying.
Yep. Well, and then so we got some week 1 lines, Shane. We're not going to pick these games right now, but just if anything stands out to you, just shout it out at me. But starting with, again, these are week 1 lines, so about a week and a half away, we'll have Florida at Utah, Shane. And remember, about 2 weeks ago, Utah favored by 9-10 points. That's already down to 5.5, Shane. Now that, news of their quarterbacks being kind of a huge question mark, they may be down to their third quarterback. They're all American tight end. I don't think he's going to play. So, hey, momentum for the Gators, so that you might want to grab that 5.5 while you can. The over-under 46.5 for that football game. Ball State at Kentucky, Shane, and Wildcats favored by 26.5 points in the opener. How about it? With an over-under of 48.5 points. I know you're going to jump on this one, Shane. I know it. Tennessee, 28.5 point favorite against Virginia in Nashville. Over-under 58.5 points. Ooh, boy, some points going to be scored in that one. UMass at Auburn, Shane. Auburn, debut Hugh Freeze era. They're expecting some fireworks down there. Tigers favored by 39.5 points with an over-under 53.5. So basically, UMass ain't going to score in this match. You know what? And then how about this? New Mexico at A&M. Aggies favored by 38 points at home in the debut of the Bobby Petrino offense. Can't wait for that. 48.5 point is the over-under. South Carolina, North Carolina. This is the big game, Shane. Yep. Prime time. Carolina, Tar Heels. Wrong Carolina, in my opinion. But the Tar Heels favored by 2.5 in this Charlotte kickoff college game day. Over-under 64 points. So that's the highest on the board among all SEC matchups. MTSU at Alabama. Yep. Alabama favored 39.5 points. The over-under 54.5 points. Ooh, the big Sunday one, Shane. LSU, FSU in Orlando. Them Tigers, Shane. They got the right team here. Favored by 2.5. Over under 56.5 points. And then I'm throwing these guys a bone, Shane, because they're part of the family already. Rice at Texas. Texas favored by 35. Over under 59. Same spread for Butch Jones down there. Arkansas State at Oklahoma, Shane. Sooners favored by 35 points in the season opener, over under 59 points. Is there any of those at all, Shane, whether it's an over-under, whether it's a spread, any that you're really urging the audience to go and jump at?
Well, there's a few. I mean, you joked earlier, Tennessee. Heupel is going to put the Nico talk away. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I just think that they're going to kick off a Heisman race for Joe here by putting in a lot of points. That's just in his DNA. You got to remember, man, he was just playing quarterback just the other day, and he's just like all of us that listen to this. He doesn't want a Kirby Smart game. He's going to want to put a lot of points up. The other one that's intriguing to me, Mike, is the North Carolina, South Carolina. Obviously, I'm not a fan of the spread here, but that over-under, what was that again, 60-something?
64.
I mean, think about that, guys. 64. If that was
North Carolina's got a god-awful defense, too, so just keep that in mind.
Yeah, 32-30. I mean, that's a high-scoring college football game with game day involved. So, I don't know. If you think there's going to be that many points, I don't know. I'm kind of hesitating a little bit because, that I think there's going to be a little bit more defense than you think in that game. So, I don't know. Those are the ones that really stood out to me. Texas A&M, what was that, 38? I mean, could you imagine 6 touchdowns? Can they win by 6 touchdowns? So, yeah, we're going to find out real quick, brother.
We were saying that last year, Shane, and they won by about 6 points in the opener.
I know. Sam Houston nightmares. You ever see that one with the Vietnam and the cat? It's like stuff going on in the background. Oh, I know that's exactly what's going on. If they come out and go 7, could you imagine if Texas A&M starts out 0-7, like they get scored on first? Oh my gosh, it's going to be like a terrible flashback. I don't think that's going to happen. I get that evil nonsense out of your mind, but it does cross my mind a little bit.
Yeah. Well, we also got odds, Shane, to win the entire SEC. Again, these are all courtesy of my bookie here, Shane. No surprise, Georgia, heavy favorite to win the SEC, minus 114. Everybody else plus. So Alabama, Shane, plus 285. So it's basically almost 3-1 odds for Alabama to win the SEC. LSU plus 440. So that's 4.5 to 1 essentially. Now we take a big jump. It's those three, Shane. Those are the heavy favorites. Favorites. Georgia's the heavy favorite. Alabama and LSU, the picks essentially out of the West. A&M plus 1,400. So 14 to 1, Shane, to win. Texas A&M. Tennessee 15 to 1. And then here's another big. So you can tell by these odds, Shane. I mean, there's tiers here. A&M and Tennessee are in their own tier because the next on the docket, Ole Miss, 47 to 1 to win the conference. Auburn, 64 to 1 to win the conference. Florida, 80 to 1. South Carolina, 100 to 1. Arkansas, 100 to 1. Kentucky, 100 to 1. Mississippi State, 110 to 1. Mizzou, Shane, this is probably where you're putting your money. 150 to 1. That's just totally disrespectful. And Vanderbilt, I like what they did with the number here, Shane. 420 to 1. 420 to 1. You got to be 420 to be betting Vanderbilt to win the SEC. But any of those stand out to, again, you're not sitting here saying Mizzou's going to win it or Florida's going to win it. But you're looking at those odds I just thrown out and said, maybe I'll throw $50 on this team, and maybe I'll have a huge payday here. Any of those stand out to you?
Well, I hate to pick multiple ones, but I'm going to. When I'm always looking at these season bets, I like that 15 area, not just because Tennessee Vols are there. I get it. You're like, come on, Shade. But Texas A&M's also sitting there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they got Alabama at home. If they beat LSU, or even if they lose to LSU and beat Tennessee, LSU drops to Alabama and someone else. I mean, I think it's going to be that tight of a race in the West. So, that A&M looks intriguing.
Can I make one before you take them all off the board here?
Yes, sir.
I'm afraid you're going to get 6 or 7. Then
I got two more. Two more. I got 2 more on my list.
But I just got one. Arkansas, 100 to 1 with KJ and Rocket, and we're hearing so much great things, Shane, about the defensive line. We always got confidence in the offensive line under Sam Pittman. If the line of scrimmage, Shane, if it is as good as we're hearing with some of the skill talent they have at Arkansas, again, I'm not predicting Arkansas to win the SEC. We hyped them up too much last year. I think they were so mad at us, they said, please stop talking about us. I mean, so many people are like, don't pick us to win a damn game. You're wrong all the time. So I'm not predicting it, but I'm saying a true value bet at 100 to 1. You throw $50 on that. I think there's real value in them Arkansas Razorbacks. Any thoughts on that or any other teams?
No, I get that. I'm right. That's what I'm saying. It's like if you're going to throw $50 on a gamble, throw it on a gamble. And that's the other two I had. Since you want me to get to it, Missouri, obviously, because of I'm there, and I've even bought a condo over there that nobody knows yet. But people move south when they get older. I moved kind of northwest, I guess. But the other one is Kentucky. Because when you look at Kentucky, the reason I like this one here, especially out of the East, that's the key here for me, SEC championship.
Yeah.
They got to beat Georgia. Now, I know you're saying, hey, Alabama's there. Well, they could still lose to Alabama. They would have to beat Tennessee at that point, and they would have to beat Georgia, which, again, tall glass of water, but crazier things have happened. So, I think Kentucky would be my other option here.
Yeah, that's right. That was the last one I was going to say too, Shane. And you make a great point. I mean, when people are just like these odds makers, they say, well, God, they got to play at Georgia. They got to play at Alabama. I mean, if Alabama's not on the schedule, Kentucky is probably 80 to 1, 70 to 1, something like that. They're kind of middle of the road. But these people don't follow SEC like we do, Shane. And again, I realize Alabama's probably going to beat them, but it's not the lock that a lot of people think it will be, particularly if Kentucky's as good as I think they can be with the home field. I meant to mention that earlier, Shane. They've sold out home tickets. We're selling out tickets at Mississippi State. That was just announced. I mean, by God, all these great fans are buying all these tickets.
Yes.
The home field advantage across the SEC is going to be insane this fall. And I think Kentucky's got a real shot. Now, I think realistically for Kentucky to win it, Shane, that means something horribly went wrong at Georgia.
Yeah.
So I'm not picking it, but I'm saying, who knows? That could happen. Winning in Athens, I mean, I just don't see that. But maybe you lose in Athens, and somehow, some way, Georgia loses 2 other games, and Kentucky runs the table. Otherwise, that seems almost more realistic to me. Not that that's very realistic, but I'm right there with it. Kentucky, hyping them up. Kentucky, Arkansas, both at 100-1. I love those odds right there.
Yeah, I mean, if it were easy, they'd be 4-1, 3-1. It's these are long shots, but they pay. They pay if they hit. Of course, you may just be burning a $50 bill. That's a good trip to KFC or something. What I'm saying. So I don't know if you want to waste it, but if you are throwing it out there, the payout's going to be nice. And that's the only reason I was looking at Kentucky is like I said, that Alabama game, because that's what they look at Kentucky and they're like, damn, that schedule. They got Alabama out of the West. That's going to be crazy. But if they beat Georgia, again, miracle, and they beat Tennessee, which is possible, beat Missouri, which is possible, South Carolina, which is very possible, you're looking at a run, an opportunity to make it to the championship game. Now, they still got to win that one. And then that Alabama game may matter, or the LSU or whoever they're playing. I didn't say it was easy, but man, just getting to the dance is the hardest part.
Yep. All right, how about national championship odds, Shane? Of course, Georgia. They're the runaway favorite, plus 220. So I think that's essentially like 2.5 to 1. They're the favorite in not only the SEC, but the entire country. But what surprised me, Shane, Alabama, not only second in the SEC, but second in the country, according to my bookie, plus 560. So I think that's 5.5 to 1. Alabama, second best odds to win the national championship. LSU, Shane, 14 to 1 to win the national championship. I'm throwing these boys in here. They're SEC to us, Shane. Texas, how about that? Texas next on the list, 22 to 1 to win the national championship. Tennessee, Shane, 28 to 1.
Yeah.
Now a big jump here. A&M, 52 to 1. That's one to keep your eye on. Oklahoma, 54 to 1. Ole Miss, 85 to 1. Kentucky, 110 to 1. South Carolina, 120 to 1. Florida, 140 to 1. Auburn, 150 to 1. Mississippi State, 170 to 1. Arkansas, come on, 200 to 1. Mizzou, 300 to 1. And Vanderbilt, 750 to 1. Same question. Any team or two that you're thinking, I like my odds here?
Well, I mean, we joke about Bama, and even though they're second, I mean, there's always that chance. You know what I'm saying? 5 to 1. You put a hundo on there. You know what I'm saying?
They have as good a roster as anybody.
It's the quarterback. That's the only thing. And I was talking to a guy today, and I was like, it's not the quarterback race, in my opinion, Mike. Is it going to? I don't think it's going to derail the season if they make the wrong choice, but it may derail their shot getting to a college football playoff. It may derail their shot gets an SEC championship. That's where we're at. A quarterback can get you to those games, and he can lose you to that. That's where we're at. But if they hit, man, if Alabama hits, then all of a sudden you're sitting there. Maybe you got $1,000 on it. You know what I'm saying? Now you got $5,000 coming to you on Alabama. How many in the years past? How many times have you had an opportunity to put money on Alabama winning any championship at 5 to 1?
Yeah. Well, the one I like, Shane. You're gonna be mad for me stealing some thunder from you. I know you're a big Texags guy, but give me them Aggies, Shane. 52 to 1. Again, I realize it's a long shot, but aside from Georgia, Bama, and LSU, I think A&M's got the best overall roster of any of the other teams that we've referenced, and maybe they got a better roster than LSU.
Yeah.
So 52-1. I'm throwing a couple bucks on A&M.
Why not? I can get behind that. How many times have I talked about how good? I just told you a minute ago I was on going to an SEC championship. So, I get that 50-1. And the thing I like about that one, Mike, is, and I've been on record saying this, I think there's a scenario where a West team loses a game throughout the season, bypasses that SEC championship, and still makes the top 4 college football playoff. That could happen here. And so A&M, let's say they go on to beat Bama but lose to LSU. LSU wins out. They go to an SEC championship. How are you going to keep a one-loss Tex Ag team out of the college football playoffs with their only loss being against Bama? So, yeah, there is a real scenario, and that's what's intriguing to me about those 3 teams in the West. It's just, it feels like it's going to be one of those years that we're making an argument for 2 teams out of the West to be in the college football playoffs.
Extra week of rest. Don't have to face them Bulldogs. Come on, that's the ticket right there.
That's working smarter, not harder. You know what I'm saying? Jimbo's playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, what else is chess, not checkers, Shane? That'd be our friends over at Game Time Sidekicks, buddy. Head on over to Game Time Sidekicks. Get you some officially licensed NCAA gear, Shane. Stainless steel cups, sippy cups, dog bowls, tumblers. They got it all over at Game Time Sidekicks. And don't forget that promo code, Shane, SEC at the checkout. That'll give you 20% off your entire order over at Game Time Sidekicks. We promise you will not be disappointed in the quality of your cup that you get from Game Time Sidekicks. They've sent us cups 2 years in a row, and it's all we use over here, unless I'm too lazy to wash mine out. Then I might be using a different glass. But as long as I'm not being lazy, I'm drinking out of my Game Time Sidekicks. Don't be lazy yourself. Help the podcast. Go to GameTimeSidekicks.com, promo code SEC. And that's the same promo code, Shane, over at Manscaped. Don't be lazy with your beard either, man. Trim it up with the Beard Hedger Pro over at Manscaped.com. Promo code SEC for 20% off your entire order and free shipping, including international shipping over there. Shane, at Manscaped.com. I know you can't wait to get your Manscaped so you can be all fine for the lady over there. So
I'm telling you, I'm going to try it on the head here, See, I just may have to use 1 set of clippers instead of 2. That'll be awesome.
All right, buddy. So, hey, on the last episode, we talked quarterbacks, and I got a nice little list here from a friend of the show, Stephen Lassan, over at Athlon Sports. He's coming back for this season as well, Shane. I just got that confirmed with Stephen. So he's going to be back on the Tuesday show every Tuesday this season, talking SEC football. Cannot wait.
The smart cousin.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you went there because, we respect Stephen Lassan in his knowledge on college football over just about anybody. So,
right.
He doesn't just throw these lists together. Man, I can't tell you the thought that goes into his predictions and his picks and quarterback lists, Shane. He has ranked I think it's 130 starting projected quarterbacks for the upcoming season. You ready to break down all SEC quarterbacks he's got here?
I'm absolutely ready, Mike. Isn't it nice to pick apart another list that's not yours?
Exactly. So he's got 2 SEC quarterbacks in the top 10 in the country. Shane, no surprise to us. KJ Jefferson leads the way. He's got him ranked as the number 9 starting quarterback in the entire country. I'd have him a little bit higher, I'm not going to lie, but leading it off with KJ, that's the right move, don't you think?
Yeah, and I know you're doing all the SEC. Can you tell me who the top 3 are? Just curious. So when he comes on Tuesday, we can bash him. Out of the entire country, I mean, I'm a little higher on KJ, and Where would you put him for the year? Like I know you did the SEC, but if you were to put him in this list among the other quarterbacks,
I mean, I'll be honest with you, Shane. I don't really watch these other guys, so it's kind of hard for me to grade them.
Yeah.
That's why I rely on people like Steven. But he's got Caleb Williams from the reigning Heisman Trophy winner. I mean, I think that's fair. Number one.
Yeah.
Oh, you ain't going to like this, though, brother. Drake May, North Carolina, number 2.
What the fuck? Steve?
Michael Penix from Washington. I think he led the country last year in passing, for what that's worth.
Nothing.
Jordan Travis, Florida State.
It's worth nothing.
Oh, my. And I do apologize, Auburn. Number 5, he's got Bo Nix from Oregon. So that's Steven's top 5 in the country right there.
Do you think Auburn recognized? Did you see that? I don't know if you recognize that, but Jalen Hurts did something, and then Bama sent out a tweet, talking about Bama. Does Auburn do that when Bo Nix is successful in the NFL? You think, or do you frown upon that? Surely, what's your thought on that? If you see a tweet fired off, from a team that, I'm not saying they released him because they didn't, they just took away a starting position.
I think for Jalen Hurts is a unique guy in a unique position, Shane, because if you remember that, lost his job in the national championship. We all remember that. But it was an off-season of speculation, and, many people thought it would be, this heated battle, and as soon as a quarterback was named, Jalen Hurts was going to leave.
Yeah.
And he didn't do it.
Yeah.
And they needed him. They needed him in the SEC championship. Remember, Tua got hurt. They would not have won that game without Jalen Hurts. Not only did he stick around, he didn't pout. He was a team leader. He won them, a huge, huge game. And I believe he won them a playoff game. I can't remember I think, did Tua come back? I know Tua came back, but I can't remember exactly the scenario. But just everything I heard behind the scenes, Shane, was just Jalen Hurts was just above and beyond what you'd anticipate from someone that just got upstaged in a national championship game when I think he was literally undefeated as a starting quarterback for Alabama. He lost his freshman year in the national championship game.
Right.
But, he was like 30-1 as a starting quarterback, got benched. How many 30-1 guys would not create a scene?
Right.
And stick around and be a contributor. So, yeah, I'm fine with all that. With Alabama kind of claiming Jalen Hurts, but that's a unique situation in my mind.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know we were going. Sorry, sometimes I go down a little rabbit hole, but I always find that kind of amusing because there's some that don't have quite the sentimental story that Bama and Hurts does.
Well, hell, he also played there 3 years. He played 1 year at Oklahoma, and I'll be honest, I didn't watch him at Oklahoma, but
okay, all right. Let me put a little asterisk by this. He goes to the Bears, and I'm not saying that's where he's going to go, and he does some amazing feat, and then I'm talking about Bo Nix, and Auburn fires off a tweet about Auburn family and Bo Nix. Now, is that the same or? Are you like, wait a minute? Now
I think Bo would call him up and be like, "Take that shit down." That's what I think. I think Bo Nix would say that.
I got you.
All right. So number 10 on Steven's list. Back to Steven's list here, Shane. Jaden Daniels, LSU. Again, I already know what you're going to say. 10's probably a little too low, but number 2 in the SEC, I can get on board with Jaden Daniels. No problem there, right?
Yeah, that's kind of the way I'm looking at this list right now. Is number 2 in the I could see that, man. Do you think? And I wish I could ask him. Do you think that SEC so low because we've got a lot of change in the quarterback? Obviously,
I think it's not only that, but it's 11 new offensive coordinators, I believe, is the number. So
yeah.
We're all high on our teams, but we got to be realistic too. There could be some transition,
right?
That the beginning of the year and the end of the year, quarterbacks may be playing a lot better by the end of the year. I think that's a fair argument as well.
Okay, yeah, all right.
Now, Shane, remember I said we're talking Oklahoma and Texas already. We're gearing up. We're welcoming them with open arms. So we're including these quarterbacks too, Shane. And it kind of stunned me that they were this high, but they're the next two, Shane. Number 15 quarterback in the country, Dylan Gabriel, Oklahoma, who played, I believe, for Josh Heupel at Central Florida. So, hey, we're going to be welcoming Oklahoma and Texas all season long. Going to be watching those games. So, at least we know they're going to have some great quarterbacks here. I'm ready to watch Dylan Gabriel, according to Steven, number 15 quarterback in the country. That's a surprise to me.
God, I'd love to see them play Georgia this year, man. Just so we can kind of have a little pulse of that program coming into the SEC. Yeah, so looking forward to them this year.
Now, this guy we will see, Shane. I mean, God forbid, unless he gets hurt in the opener. Number 16, Quinn Ewers, Texas, playing Alabama week 2. So 16 in the country for Quinn Ewers, the Texas. Where's Arch? Where's Arch? Wait, this ain't a real list. I'm just kidding. But
yeah, I was wondering, how many of our listeners think Arch is the quarterback? Because outside of the Mannings, it's like they haven't been followed. And then I can hear the Aggies now. I've been listening to this for 6 years, and you put this shit on my radio. Boys, it's coming. Boys and girls, it's coming. So, yes, they got the Ewers hype train going on down there. And part of the reason why they think that Alabama game is going to be a ball game. So, looking forward to seeing those. Got hurt last year. If he stays healthy, if he stayed healthy last year, they probably would have won,
Right. Yeah, and these next 3, Shane, I didn't realize it till just now. They're only separated by 1 spot. So, I'll speak for Steven here. I mean, he's splitting hairs here, so not a giant difference. But so Ewers was 16. Number 17, Will Rogers, Mississippi State, getting some respect. I'm sure the Bulldog fans think he should be even higher, and that's fair given the numbers he's put up. But it's nice to see Will Rogers in the top 5, and that's including Texas and Oklahoma. So really, if you don't want to include them, top 3 in the SEC, I think that's fair.
Yeah, well, I mean, fact of the matter is, statistically, he'll be top 3 in the country when it's all said and done. Going to be a lot of yards down there in Mississippi State.
Yeah. Number 18, Shane, Devin Leary, Kentucky. So again, just 1 spot away from Will Rogers here, but the hype train for Devin Leary and what he can bring to Lexington, man, it's hitting a new gear as we get close to the season.
It's picking up. You've been his hype man for so long, Maybe that's it. Steve's been hearing all this nonsense coming out of your mouth, and now he's like, well, I got to put him on a list. 'Cause Mike's not always wrong.
I probably will be wrong about this one, though. Number 19, Shane, Spencer Rattler, South Carolina. Yeah. So a lot of love for the Gamecock signal caller. We're hearing great things in training camp. If they start strong, and they're going to have one hell of a year. It's on his. We got comments from Shane Beamer coming up in just a second on Spencer. But thoughts on Spencer Rattler, number 19 quarterback in the country.
This is another one, Mike, that's moved up my list through the offseason. But everything I'm hearing at camp, man, this one may be the one we're sleeping on right here.
Now, I know Steven's sleeping on this guy, according to you. And I spoke to Steven this weekend, and this was the one, Shane. He said, this is the guy I'm least confident on where to rank him. He's got no clue what he could do. Number 24, Joe Milton, Tennessee. Thoughts on Joe Milton be 24th quarterback in the country, not the SEC, obviously, the country. Fair or not? Thoughts on that?
Well, I just thought he forgot he was a quarterback there for a second. Maybe missed him on the list. Anybody that can throw a football 145 yards needs to be higher on these rankings, Mike. But yeah, I mean, this is Joe Milton. You got either you're in the camp or you're not in the camp, and that's why when we talked gambling earlier, that Virginia game's so appealing to me, because Heupel wants to put all that to bed. And he does that by showing the nation that he truly is a great quarterback. Now, if we walk out of that game 14, 15, 16 points winning, or even closer than that, and stupid mistakes, then we could start we overhyped Joe again, But until then, the way he closed out the season, I think you move him up a little bit higher just based on this offense alone.
Yeah. Now, one guy that could skyrocket up this list, but I think this is fair, Shane, because we've not seen him in any meaningful action. Number 27, Carson Beck, Georgia. All the weapons he's got around him. That's a big reason why I think he can make a jump up this list, particularly if Georgia marches on to the college football playoff like anticipated. He's going to get his love. But 27, based on, again, not seeing him in meaningful action yet, I think that's fair. What do you think?
Not really. I
put them all in the top 5.
This is the thing. Is Beck? Do you ever think Beck makes the NFL roster? I do. I mean, I think when it's all said and done. What's that?
I don't even know how you can even make that statement. What are you basing that on?
Oh, just why would he be? He's the starting quarterback at Georgia Bulldogs, man. The times that we have seen him on the field, the spring practice alone, shows you that he's not a one-hit wonder. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the same argument you're making with Joe Milton. They've all probably got equal playing time. You know what I'm saying? So, and now you're starting to say who's got better weapons around them. Does Tennessee or Georgia? So, yeah, I think we get to the end of this thing when you got a guy like Brock Bowers on your team and these receivers that they have down there in Georgia. At the end of the season, as long as Beck just plays the game like he's played to this point, he's going to be a top 3 quarterback in the SEC. And it may not be because of him individually. It's like, when you did your quarterback ranking, we went to a locker room, we picked a guy to lead a blank team, It wasn't, but a lot of these quarterback rankings that we see, and I'd like to ask Steve, is based on statistics we'll see this year, wins and losses, how they do. And you're telling me that the Georgia starting quarterback is 27 just because we didn't name him officially till this week? So I don't know. I think a lot of people sleeping on him. I think when we get to the end of the season, he's going to be one of those guys that's talked about as one of the best quarterbacks in the country.
Well,
I mean, you're talking
right.
27. 26 guys are better than Beck. I mean, come on.
I just don't know where to rank him.
Yeah, I get that. No,
and
I may be way off. He may lose the job week 3 and we delete this podcast. So there's always that possibility. But I just think with all the pieces around him, there's no way you can't be successful. You know what I'm saying?
Right. All right. How about 31, Shane? Jackson Dart, Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Again, I'm very high on Jackson Dart this fall. I think Ole Miss is set to explode. So I'd have him higher, but what's your thoughts? Jackson Dart, 31.
If he truly has taken that step forward, yeah, this is a guy that can move up the list probably quicker than anybody because he offers, he offers a 2-dimensional style offense that a lot of these quarterbacks can't do, and sometimes games are won with your legs these days. So yeah, I think Jackson's again, he slept on, and of course Lane Kiffin ain't helping things coming out here with the quarterback competition talk and stuff. But once he gets out there and he gets the starting job, he'll be behind the Heisman race.
Yep, number 32. So just one spot back. Connor Wigman, Texas A&M. Man, all the weaponry he's got.
Shit.
We keep repeating ourselves, Shane, but I mean, all these guys could be made. Here's the thing about the SEC, Shane. So much talent, but a lot of it is inexperienced. And we all just assume, hey, top recruit, he's got all these guys, they're going to be awesome. But it doesn't always work out that way. You know what?
No, and I think that's why there's been hesitancy to name him the starting quarterback down there. If there was no questions, there would be no questions. It's just news, not, it just feels like noise down there. But again, this is a list that he can move up very quickly because, like you said, that room's loaded. A lot of talent around him. Not a lot of pressure either. I know Jimbo's got pressure, but Connor shouldn't have it. This team should go into, if you're looking at the 12 matchups that they have, there's about 7 of them they could come 50% and should win the game. So I think. I think that's where the Aggies are, and this is a guy at the end of the season we're talking about next year as one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC.
Now, here's an interesting selection, Shane. Number 51, Ty Simpson, Alabama. So I think this is Steven projecting, who will start more games, because it certainly looks like Milroe may be the starter. But again, I don't know why everyone just assumes that either. But Ty Simpson, 51. If Alabama's got the 51st best quarterback in the country, I think I might be right about them. What's your thoughts?
I think he's got him at 51 because we don't know who it is.
Yeah.
If Ty, I will say this, brother. Let me ask you, and I'm not having you speak for Steve, but if week one, right after spring, Nick Saban came out and said Ty's our guy, even though practices have been up and down, whatever, but Ty's our guy, would you have him at the 50 spot?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, so I think that's all this is. And I don't blame him because I'm doing the same thing. I mean, I looked at your quarterback rankings last year, and half the guys on the list didn't even play throughout the season. So you just never know.
Yeah. All right, how about Peyton Thorne, Auburn, 61? That's an interesting one.
I'm a little higher on Thorne. I think this one is maybe he made this list before it was announced or something like that. But the fact that Hughes bought in and Auburn's, bought into Thorne being the quarterback, and I don't know, just in that Hugh-free system, this is he's got to be. I mean, you're 60. Come on now. I think that I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to say he made this list the day after or the day before Hugh told us.
All right, let Brady cook. Shade 66 in the country. Defend your man here.
I can't, man. I can't.
Okay.
I'm gonna be honest with you, brother, and I try to be honest with everybody, but it's just Sam Horn. It's not even his job, and the fact that we've got that tight of a competition going into week one. No, this isn't gambling. I just wouldn't put any money on him. I got to see it now, and where I'm at that point. So yeah, I'm not faulting him for this pick.
Now, A.J. Swan, 67, so just behind him here at Vanderbilt. We love his potential.
Yeah.
Fair?
God, I'm just I think they all wrong, Why do I do that? I don't know. I love A.J. Swan, and if he could stay healthy, this is a dude that is a lot better than people don't even know who he is. And A.J. Swan, if he were in that Alabama room, there's a real shot he'd be the starting quarterback. And he's a good. I mean, he's a hell of a quarterback. He's got a lot of work. I mean, he's a little raw, and he got banged up last year. But this is a guy I expect to take a big step forward this season.
Yeah, here Saturday night, he's probably him and Hartman from Notre Dame, the best two quarterbacks we'll see week 0. You know what? I hate to do it because this is the same guy I got last, Shane. 77, Graham Mertz, Florida. And we'll find out week 1, Thursday night against Utah, how accurate that is. But again, I don't want to say disrespect, but it's just kind of, I guess it is what it is. I mean, Florida's.
But we've talked to some Florida guys, they weren't high on him either. And we're talking about beat writers that see him play every day. So now, granted, haven't talked to him since, since August, but you never know. This kid may have just finally bought in and may be the real deal. And I don't know if you've been watching that Florida documentary at all?
Not yet. That's on my list, though.
Okay. All right. I'm one episode in. It's pretty damn good. I don't like how the first one ends, and if you've watched it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. A documentary shouldn't hurt you this bad, but I'm seeing a lot of Tennessee in this thing, A lot of bad memories are starting to come back up.
Yeah. Well, speaking of quarterbacks, real quick, Shane, to wrap us up here, we got a couple coach comments, one from Shane Beamer. And, hey, some great news here. Beamer met with the media on Tuesday, Shane. He says, Juice Wells, Trey Knox, Nick Harbor, all expected to play in the opener against North Carolina. They're not anticipating not having any of those guys. So the more weapons, the better for Spencer Rattler against North Carolina, so they can hit the over, despite Shane doubting the over-under on that one. But he was asked several questions about Spencer Rattler, and I thought the best one, his comfort level, where it is this year compared to last year, in the offense, with his teammates, leadership, all that. Let's kick it over to Shane Beamer.
Shane, we've heard from a lot of the players about how good Spencer's been looking in preseason camp. From when he came in last year and prepared for the season to how he's done it this year, what's been the biggest difference? What kind of changes have you seen?
I'd say he's a lot more comfortable right now. He knows the people around him better, teammates, understanding at this point. Last year he had never played a game for South Carolina. He understands what it's like to be in Williams-Brice Stadium and how we do things and what the people are like around him. I think his comfort level in the offense, certainly. There's some new stuff, obviously, but there is some carryover from last year as well. But he's just very, very, very comfortable from what I can tell, and what he's shown. His leadership has certainly grown. I hear him out there. He's more vocal. He's more confident in what he's doing. And then I think that relationship with he and Dow is fantastic. Spencer and I met on Friday and just kind of talked about where he is and where we are. And that's one thing that he really, really talked about was just his relationship with Coach Loggins and how he's helped him, and not just with Spencer, but that entire offense as well, the relationship with him.
We can sit here and talk about South Carolina, and we have for months on end. And basically what it all comes down to for us, this team is going to go as far as Spencer Rattler can take them.
Yep.
And if these reports are true and he's killing it, and it's not one person saying it, it's like a dozen people saying, he has unlocked something, he's unleashing it. And South Carolina's got a good defensive backfield. So if he's doing well against them, God, I pray for North Carolina's defensive backs. You know what?
Oh, Mac, man, I tell you, you better bring in baby aspirins after this one, because it's going to be wild. There's going to be a lot of points in it. And I think Spencer Rattler takes that step forward, and I think he shocks the world. Everybody talks about the fluke. We've all done that, the fluke with Tennessee. Maybe it wasn't a fluke, man. Maybe it was just a light switch that came on. And I heard you talking earlier. You made some good points about the Clemson game. There was a few hiccups along the way, but how does he progress? How does he move forward with that? Does he build on his game to take that next step? And you're right. There's some thin spots on that roster, but it's all going to come down to the arm of Spencer Rattler.
Mm-hmm. All right, then final one here, Shane. Lane Kiffin.
Oh, hey, before we leave South Carolina, did you see what they're doing for the Kentucky week? They got the guy that made Sandstorm coming in. They're gonna roll out the red carpet and have a damn concert before they play that game. So I can't wait for that matchup, man. Everybody's gonna have sunglasses on. It's gonna be awesome.
I was about to say the entire student section better have those sunglasses out.
Absolutely, the town's gonna be going, son.
All right, final one, and we saved this for last because Lane Kiffin's being coy again here, but he was asked about the scrimmage, how these quarterbacks looking, how any closer to naming a starter. Here's what Lane Kiffin had to say.
You guys scrimmaged over the weekend. Just impressions of quarterback play in there, and do you feel like you're any closer to being able to name a starter?
Yeah, I thought quarterback play was really, really strong Saturday. I thought the week before, defense in general had a really good Saturday. I thought this Saturday the offense did, and passing game and running game, much more points, much more yards, higher average per carry. So, and I thought the quarterbacks did some really good things, and the two older guys both made a significant play they'd want to take back, but saw some really good things, and I think we're in a great position of multiple guys that could go in the game and help us win.
All right, so he's keeping it close to the vest, Shane. I mean, they don't want to give Mercer any tip on who they're playing. You know what?
They don't call him Lame Kiffin for nothing. Just kidding. Coach, they say Coach is kind of quirky. And I'd love to sit down and have a conversation with him. And you could tell, sometimes he's got a message, sometimes he doesn't. And he absolutely hates these pressers. He reminds me of my youngest when we have to go get pictures made, family photos, just like, it's all I could do to keep her, from yelling and getting her dress dirty and all that stuff. That's Lane just stomping over there. I can't believe he has to talk to the damn media. But brother, this is typical Kiffin, and I have full confidence in this. He's going to have the quarterback, the best quarterback, taking snaps day one. I guarantee you.
Yeah. Well, I hope it's Jackson Dart for my sake, Shane, after I rated him number 3 in the SEC. But we'll see. Spencer Sanders can get it done too, I bet. But, hey, buddy, that's all I got on this episode of the show. You got anything before we hop off the line?
No, again, fun hanging out. We got football right around the corner. We're going to have our picks coming up. So if you guys get on that MyBookie and you got a bet I need to look at, be sure to tag me so I can steal it and look smart for the show. So
Yeah, we would appreciate that. And I appreciate you, buddy. I appreciate all the cousins out there. We'll catch you on the next one.
all right, see you guys. Go Vols. What place did he have, Milton? Get out of here, Steve.